sometimes you're simply not in the mood, and like having it like multiple times where it's like, okay, it's time, is like really unromantic. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome for the first time if this is your first time here. Just like the title says, in today's video, I'm going to be doing an infertility Q&A. I had you guys submit questions on Instagram, and some of these questions are general infertility questions and some are specific to me. So let's just jump right in and get started. Let me just preface this really quickly. If this is the first video you guys have stumbled upon, then I'm sure you're obviously interested in infertility related content. I shared my infertility story 2 years ago. I now have a son named Liam who is going to be 1 next month, and I documented our whole infertility process along with our pregnancy and life since then. So I will put some links down below to my infertility playlist if you guys are interested. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm gonna try to answer as many of these as I can, but I got a lot, so I might not get to everybody's questions. First question is one that I got in various forms, and that is, how long did we try to have a baby? How many treatments? How long did we try before treatments, etc., etc. So I consider our infertility journey to be 2 years long, but we never really tried before treatment, if that makes sense. And that's because I wasn't getting a period. So the whole first year of our infertility journey was trying to figure out why I wasn't getting a period and try to get a period, to then start trying, because you can't really try without ovulating. A year into that is when I got my PCOS diagnosis, which then started a year of treatment. So we wound up doing 5 rounds of Clomid, which failed, and then our first IUI, which was with Femera, and a trigger shot is what worked. So it took us 6 rounds of treatment to get pregnant. Really 1 year focused on infertility treatment, but I say our whole process was a 2-year process. I got quite a few questions on like how to handle the emotions, like basically just how to get through the infertility process. And I actually just did a video on that, which I'll link here and below, on my tips on getting through infertility and how to survive. So I go in depth in that. So instead of repeating myself, I'll just link that here. So I had a couple that are in that same general question of how to get through having a couple failed treatments and how to get through all the nerves of it not working again, and then also like how to keep your mind calm after failure. I really touch on this in the video that I posted last time, but really quickly I'll just say the number one thing I think in terms of like not letting your nerves get to you is just to try to keep yourself occupied with other things, especially during the 2-week wait, because that is such a hard time period and you can really focus all your energy into it. And at the end of the day, that's gonna make no difference on whether you're pregnant or not. Like that part is already said and done. And so if you're focusing all your time and energy and stress and worry into that 2-week wait, then it's only doing more harm than good. So I talked a lot more about this in that video. So like I said, I'll link that for you. I had a couple questions on cost, and this is another one that I'm going to reference you to another video, because I did an IUI cost video where I went super in depth and went line by line of how much it cost us. I honestly can't even remember the total, but like it was thousands and thousands of dollars that we spent. And that was just on our IUI, not the treatments beforehand. So like I said, I'll link that here if you guys are curious about the cost. Of course, it varies person to person, doctor to doctor, state to state, but it'll give you a general idea of what it cost us, a couple who didn't have insurance that really covered any of it. So a couple of PCOS specific questions: how my PCOS affected my infertility, and do I still struggle with PCOS, and the side effects of PCOS. PCOS affected my infertility in that I do not ovulate. In 2 years, I had 2 natural periods. I just don't ovulate. That is my PCOS, and that is how it affected my fertility, because you of course need to ovulate to get pregnant. In terms of symptoms, it's hard to say, because my number 1 symptom was the infertility, and the second symptom I saw the most from PCOS was acne. I have not gotten a cycle. I'm 11 months postpartum. I have not gotten a cycle, but I am still breastfeeding, and my midwife told me she did not expect me to get one while breastfeeding. So I can't say whether I'm not ovulating because of PCOS or because of breastfeeding. I won't really be able to answer that question until I'm done nursing. Acne wise, my acne is nothing like it was pre-pregnancy. I have breakouts here and there, but like I was dealing with like cystic, really bad acne. And again, it might be the breastfeeding hormones that are helping keep my skin clear. I can't really answer that until I'm done nursing. How hard did you find it to be optimistic? Very hard. I was not very optimistic. I said this in my last video that I tend to be kind of pessimistic. I tend to be a worrier, and I was not very optimistic, but I do kind of see things more clearly now, being on the other side of it, which I touched on in the last video as well. So this one is like, this makes me angry. How do you get past people who know you're having trouble getting pregnant, but they keep tantalizing you about how you will be next or hurry up and have kids? Those people are freaking assholes. Sorry. If they know you're struggling and people are tantalizing you about getting pregnant, then they're assholes, and they probably shouldn't be people that you should be hanging out with. Like, point blank. You need people that are supportive, because there's nothing worse than people bugging you about getting pregnant. That is one thing I really learned through this process, is don't ever ask a couple when they're gonna get pregnant or be like, hurry up and have kids, because you have no idea how long they've been trying. Don't say that to people. Don't pressure people to have kids. You have no idea what they're dealing with behind the scenes. And that doesn't, it's not really answering your question, but basically be straight up with people. If people are saying that to you, I would be open, if you're comfortable with being open, that you guys are struggling, and to maybe not say that to you because it's hard. My advice is to just be honest. And again, if they keep doing it, then don't hang out with people like that. I had a couple of questions about like when it comes time to try. Now, YouTube better not demonetize me for this. Was timed intercourse and tracking your ovulation taxing as your relationship as a couple? And I had another question that was like, what did you do if it was time to try and you guys were like in a fight, or you guys were not feeling well, that kind of thing? Like, what did you do? So yeah, it is taxing on as a couple. I said this in my last video too. I'm sorry I keep referencing that, but like I said a lot in that video, that people say like how fun it is to try for a baby. And like my friend who actually has a podcast, she recently went through miscarriage and was talking about this kind of thing. I'll link her podcast down below, saying how everyone tells you that it's going to be so much fun to try for a baby, and when you're one of those couples that's struggling, it is so the opposite of fun. It is so business, which is like the last thing you want it to be. So it can be taxing, because during those months of trying, you have a small window of times to try, and you of course want to like do it as strategically as possible, and these certain windows as many times as like you should be, you know. And sometimes you're simply not in the mood, and like having it like multiple times where it's like, okay, it's time, is like really unromantic and really difficult. And it just feels very like almost like a procedure. Like it's like you're going in for your appointment to make a baby, and it's like not fun. So it is taxing, it is difficult. But that being said, I don't think there was ever a time that we personally were like, oh, we're in a fight, or we don't feel good, or like we can't do it. So we never encountered that. Honestly, I think we probably still would have, because I was so like, it has to be right now, it has to be right now, like over analyzing everything and thinking like, oh, if we miss this teeny tiny window by a few seconds, then it's all gonna be like ruined. If you guys watch Friends, the episode where Monica and Chandler were trying and they were in a fight, and Monica was like, okay, I forgive you, like just to get them to have sex, and then she was like still mad at him. That's probably what I would have done. But as a couple, you guys just have to work through that. I think try to make it more romantic if you can. Like that's something we didn't do, and maybe I would do differently. Like try to make it fun, try to make it more of like a date night maybe, and then that leads into that still knowing it's like on the calendar, but like try to make it more romantic, because it can be tough. Back to PCOS, take any medication to control your PCOS when you're trying to have a baby. So I went through a lot of different medication, and I talked through all of this in many of my infertility videos, but like really quickly, I did medication a few times before we started doing like actual fertility medicine to try to get a period. We did that a couple of times, and like it didn't really work for me. And then we did fertility treatments. So we did Clomid, like I said, 5 times, and then Femera and the trigger shot for the IUI. But like other than that, I didn't do any medication to control my PCOS. My PCOS was kept under wraps, so I've got birth control for so many years. I have no idea when I actually started having these symptoms of PCOS, because I'd been on birth control so long and they like masked many of my symptoms. Other than that, no medication aside from the medication to get pregnant. What kind of research did you guys do on finding a good fertility doctor? So our OBGYN, I should say my OBGYN, gave us a couple of references, and some were really local and one was less local. So if you guys have been following me since my journey, you would know that we went to San Francisco for our treatment, which is about an hour away from us. So it's not like local. It was quite a journey actually to be going there so frequently. But she did give us a couple of local references as well, but she had said, you know, these ones are fine, but that one in San Francisco is really, really, really great. And upon doing my own research, I found that, and I actually had a personal reference that I knew that had undergone treatment there with a specific doctor we actually wound up seeing. It had nothing but good things to say about it, and so we just wound up going that route, even though it was farther away. And we had such an amazing experience with that doctor and that whole facility that, like, I always recommend it to people that ask, because it was such a good experience. How did you and Ben get through without straining your marriage? It was a strain, especially because, again, my personality is difficult. I know that I'm difficult. I'm very anxious, I'm very worrisome. I am a verbal processor, so I like to talk through everything. I voice my thoughts out loud way too often. I talk things out that really don't need to be in the air. They can be in my head, but that's how I am. So I drove Ben probably really nuts during that whole time, but he was very patient with me and very understanding. But definitely, like, arguments come and they're strain, and it's difficult and it's stressful. But I think just like going through it together, knowing that you're walking this journey together, support each other as best as you can. Nobody knows your spouse better than you. You know what they need to feel supported. So do that, but also know, like, when you need space. Like, I know sometimes it can be very overwhelming and, like, you need your own time too. So I think it's just really important to know your spouse, know what they need, but also, like, communicate what you need through this process as well, because it might be different than what you need in, like, normal life, because it is such a difficult thing to go through. But I think it's very normal if you're feeling some strain. Like, know that's okay, because anything in your life that is this significant and tough is going to pose some challenges in your marriage. How did you deal with friends and family having babies while you were struggling? I mean, this was hard, and I don't really have any real advice for it, because it's really tough. Like I said in the last video, you see these updates on Facebook and Instagram all the time about somebody's having a baby, and it's just tough. And I think all of the tips that I gave in the last video, you know, being open, sharing your pain, talking to people about it, like, that's all you can really do. Unfortunately, it's always going to hurt when you are trying to have a baby and somebody close in your life has one. That was a really shitty answer. That's the honest truth. Like, it's gonna sting. I think just having supportive family members is really helpful. Like, I had somebody who, we were at an event with, like, our families, both of our families, and she announced that she was pregnant, and I was like, oh. We were getting ready to start things in the city, and I was just like, and she actually came and talked to me afterwards, saying, like, hey, are you okay? Like, I'm really sorry. I know, like, you're going through this, and, you know, how are things going? And she just, like, made me feel valued in that. Like, she knew I was struggling. She knew what she just did was really hard for me to hear, and she spoke to me about it. And that was really, really, really appreciated. So again, it ties back to, like, being open about your struggles, and hopefully those people that are close to you having babies can be there for you. Did being gluten-free help regulate your period? Not at all. So I found out, for those that don't know, I have celiac disease. I was diagnosed 6 years ago. And so that was 2013. And I was not diagnosed with PCOS until 2017, right? 2016? Wait, 2016. I got pregnant in 2017. Had Lee in 2000. Okay, I'm like, this is all going by so fast. So yeah, so I got diagnosed with PCOS in 2016. So going gluten-free had nothing to do with my period. Like, I didn't even know I had PCOS until years later. I really love this question. How can I be the best support person for friends going through their infertility journey? Kind of loops back to the one I just said, where you just, like, see their struggles, know their struggles, validate their struggles, be there for them, especially if you are one with kids or are announcing a pregnancy. You know, be there for them, let them know that you know that they're struggling. That's really all you can do. I think it's really helpful when people have people to talk to, and if they know that you're one of those people, then that's really great for them because they might not have other people in their life that they can talk to. So checking in, like if they're going through treatment, you know, if you know it's a treatment day, just send them a text that says you're thinking about them. Like that little thing can go a really long way on a very stressful day. How did you know when to move on from medication to more aggressive treatments, IUI? So when I did 5 rounds and it didn't work, like that was done. We had timed out that route. Honestly, I probably should have just done 4 because I hated Clomid. It didn't work for me. My follicles did not grow to the size they were supposed to on time. It simply did not work. And my OBGYN, who I wound up switching from, like, yes, I got a fertility doctor, but like once I got pregnant, I got rid of this doctor. She just like kept encouraging, like, oh, another round of Clomid, like even though it was not working. And so I wish that I had like decided for myself to stop earlier. Anyways, you just have to know if things aren't working, you've tried a couple of times, it's time to go to the next step. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do 2 more questions because this is super long. Oh my God, it's 25 minutes. Did you guys ever consider adoption? What are your thoughts on it? We never got that far. I'm definitely not opposed to adoption whatsoever. It's very expensive, just like fertility treatments are very expensive. I know that for me personally, I really wanted to have a child that was mine and Ben's, so we were just pursuing that route first. But we never got to the point where we really like seriously spoke about adoption. I'm sure it would be something that we would be open to if the route we took didn't work, but that's not something that we encountered. And then lastly, how do you plan to prepare ahead of time for your next pregnancy? So it's hard to say because I have no idea like what my body's gonna be like once I'm done nursing. A lot of the times they say that your body kind of like resets and it's easier to get pregnant, you get periods. You know, I might start having a regular period. I have no idea. There's not that much you can do to plan ahead because I don't know what my body's going to be like once I'm done nursing. Like I can't really start thinking about trying, and we're not there yet anyways, but until I'm done nursing. So that's kind of gonna be the point where I'll start taking things more seriously and seeing if my body gets a period, if not. Thankfully, we kind of know what worked for us last time. So if we're ready to start trying and things aren't happening on their own, then we probably would pursue fertility treatments again, just because we know now more of the process of what worked for us. But we'll have to see. We're not there yet, so we'll just have to see. Okay, you guys, this was super long, but I had a lot of fun answering these questions. Maybe I'll do another one sometime in the future. If you guys like this video, don't forget to like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. I had you guys submit questions on Instagram, and you have like a small window. You have medication a few times before we started doing like actual fertility medicine. Updates on Pinterest, not on Pinterest.